Hello, I'm making another video. Welcome. In this one, I wanted to talk about how you can improve your life with psychedelics, because they have helped me, and I would like to pass on that experience to others to improve your life as well, because I truly believe that this is something that can help everyone and can help you get out of situations or problems or things in your head that other more traditional methods might not be able to. So, I'll start with my experience with psychedelics, because I've actually been doing them for longer than I have been smoking weed, which is pretty crazy because most people start with weed, but I started with acid. It was the first thing that I've ever done because I was quite depressed and I had no idea what to do, but I knew that drugs existed and I'd never tried them before. So I found some and did acid, and the first trip was really crazy. I'm not going to go into that now because that's not the point of this video and I would rather save it for something else. But I've been doing psychedelics for longer than 3 years. I've done a lot of acid, close to 50 tabs, around there, and a lot of shrooms as well. Less shrooms, because I used to not like them. But I would say I've done around 20 grams of shrooms in total. Maybe a bit more, maybe closer to an ounce. So, I've had some really good trips, some really bad trips, some really insightful trips that I felt that I came away with a lot from. Some trips that were just very fun and very chill, hanging out with my friends, because that's what I needed at the time. You know, people often either don't realize that psychedelics can be used as a tool for self-therapy or as an improvement tool, and they just think of them as a very fun way to pass a lot of time, like acid especially. People will just do it, go to a party, play video games, whatever, just have fun, not really care about what you can learn from it. And I was like that as well when I first started doing it. I just took it. I had 8 hours where I had the most fun. I felt the best I'd ever felt in my entire life, and I could just play video games and not worry about anything. And only later on did I really discover that it can be used for purposes other than that. For example, on one of the most intense shrooms trips, on the second most intense shrooms trip I have ever experienced, I met God. I fully believe that I met him. I fully believe that it was God. He offered to show me existence after death, existence outside of time, and I was too scared to do it because I thought I would die. So I didn't end up going through with it, but I still saw him and I still interacted with him, and he really tried to convince me to let him show me that experience. Unfortunately, I was too scared. I would make the same choice now. I would still be scared now because I truly thought I would die in the moment if I said yes to that. I've also had a very intense acid trip where I felt really connected to nature and to my body and to existence as a whole. I felt like a living creature in the world that was experiencing everything at its base layer and truly living in the purest sense of that word. Both of those experiences were quite life-changing to me, and I still remember them to this day. I think on the shrooms ones more often than I do think back on the acid ones. That is because I feel like I have grown out of acid partially, and shrooms have more to offer me now. I've also done way too much acid, and I used to get chronic nosebleeds from doing acid, and I get nosebleeds every time I do acid, and my head hurts so I tend not to do it that much anymore. But shrooms are completely fine, so I do shrooms. Now, the difference between shrooms or acid is something that a lot of psychedelic users tend to struggle with describing, and to somebody who's never done psychedelics or has only done one of those, it can also be something that is quite difficult to grasp. For me personally, acid is like mushrooms with ads, and mushrooms are acid without ads. What are the ads? They are little distractions and little bits of fun that can be had on the trip that will just happen. Like when you're playing a mobile game and you just get the random ad pop-ups, you can't really control when you get the ads, and they don't last that long, but they provide a break from the game, and there's something that just happens. That's how acid feels for me. You're tripping out, you are experiencing yourself and the world on a deeper level, and the little ads and distractions prevent it from getting too overwhelming or terrifying, and they make the whole experience more fun and enjoyable. There are also obviously differences in how the substances make you see, but that is very subjective, and you'll just see whatever on both. If I had to put it into really simple words, mushrooms make columns around you that like, pulsate, and they make everything look like it's pulsating and growing. Very natural, very... Like if you guys have seen those videos of just mushrooms waving, kind of like that. While acid makes everything melt together like water. Like every object is not solid but instead paint, and it can all melt and blend together. Those are the differences in the visuals, but the feeling and how the experiences feel is acid is mushrooms with ads. You're experiencing the same fundamental trip, the same insight into your psyche on both, but on acid it's not as scary. You've got something to fall back onto. You also don't have to work as hard to make the trip more enjoyable. The health impacts, I mentioned this a bit earlier, but I rarely do acid now because I really think that I overdid it when I was younger. I had a time where I did acid every day for a week, and I always refer back to that moment, but I think it's the consistent use. I used to trip every week, every 2 weeks for ages, and I got chronic nosebleeds every day, and after I stopped doing acid, they went away. I used to get multiple nosebleeds a day. Even now, when I do acid, my nose still bleeds. I used to get a headache from thinking about acid. That doesn't happen anymore, luckily, because I've cut back on it way more. With shrooms, I have always been more respectful because I used to be scared of them. I'm still scared of them to a certain extent. I used to not like them. I like them a lot now, but I have not noticed any negative health impacts with shrooms. Not even addiction, not even mental addiction to shrooms. They feel very clean, they feel very natural, they feel healthy. Not good for you, but it's like eating a meal, you know, you don't really think back on it. That's gonna mess me up in the long run. You just eat it and forget about it. I have not noticed anything from shrooms. Why I have moved from acid to shrooms is partially because of the whole nosebleed and headache issue, partially because acid just lost its luster to me. I did it a lot, I learned a lot about myself. It really helped me get over certain mental health issues that I had, like the depression, like the insecurities and the lack of self-esteem, the caring too much about random things in the world that you really have no reason to be caring for. I'll touch back on this later. When that started happening, I was a bit sad because I was losing my really useful tool for keeping myself in check. You know, like I would still have to trip because with acid I actually got some sort of dependency on it where I would feel like I'm going insane if I had not tripped in 2 weeks, a month. It got longer as I started tripping less because, like, you know, I weaned off of it. So the symptoms went away, but I genuinely was gonna go insane if I did not trip. So mushrooms kind of helped me fill that similar niche without experiencing the negatives of acid. And I am a lot more respectful of mushrooms now. I am in a better state mentally, so I enjoy mushrooms more than acid. Here's another thing about mushrooms, is that you have to make the trip good for yourself. It's not like acid where it will make you feel good. It will make you enjoy the experience. On mushrooms, you have to work for it. You have to make it happen by yourself. And I like making things happen myself a lot more now than I used to. It used to be scary, that responsibility for doing whatever. Now I welcome it, and so I do mushrooms because I'm responsible for how I feel when I trip. I am responsible for how the trip goes. And that's why I do mushrooms a lot more now than acid. Now, how did they actually help me? Personality changes. When I first discovered that drugs as a concept, when I took my first tab, and I realized that something can make you feel this good that you can just hold in the palm of your hand, that's just an item that you can decide to take or not take or do whatever you want with. But you know, you just give some guy money and you can feel this good. It really realigned a lot of values I had in my head, because things like approval from other people or doing well in other people's eyes, approval from other people. Let's see. Things that society generally makes you base your worldview on. Being successful, being rich, materialistic success, approval from other people. Kind of all the negative mechanisms that you should not be tied down and influenced by fall away when you realize that you can take it and have control over feeling that good. Because you don't need other people's approval, you don't need material success. You can just take a tab. And that made me reevaluate my whole life value structure. Another thing that it made me reevaluate is why I care so much about things that I don't have impact over, or the opinions of other people. Once again, you know, I feel like everything is tied back to how other people view you, and it is quite important. But in some sense of the word, you can't control how other people view you. If you want to be yourself, you should be yourself. And acid makes you a lot more, psychedelics makes you a lot more confident in just being yourself and enjoying the moment. I was in school at the time. School stopped mattering as much because I realized that the whole school system was about getting the approval of other people by doing tasks you don't really care about or have no impact on the real world outside of school. School is like a little simulated prison for kids. And when that fell apart, I just felt so much more freer in my head. The whole like class structure, timetable thing. I would just walk around, realizing that you can't just walk around, that the teachers are just people and they can't hurt you, was really freeing. And you can take that mentality to the rest of your life. Everyone around you is just a person. They don't have any higher power. They're not a god. They're not a undefeatable being. They are just a person you can turn away and walk away from. Psychedelics made me respect my body so much more than I used to. I was in the shower once tripping, and I had this vision of my body as an art piece, my life as an art piece. It was a golden ratio spiral starting from the back of my head and twisting outwards, and it was my head, my body, and then my life branching off into many, many paths. And I viewed that whole thing, and it was like an art piece to me. I realized that your life, your body, view it as an art piece. Build the best body, build the best life for yourself that you can. You don't draw art for other people. You don't draw art for the appeal of others. You draw art because you want to express something from within your soul. And you have no other way of communicating it other than through creating something. Treat your life and your body with that same mentality. Your life is an art piece. Your body is an art piece. Would you want to look at an art piece riddled with mental health issues and addiction? Would you want to look at an art piece that does not work out or train the body? Would you want to look at an art piece that wasted all of the time it had to be created by leaving it as a blank canvas with nothing done? Have all of those thoughts in your head and make your art piece, make your life. Live in the moment. That is another thing that psychedelics have taught me, is to just enjoy the moment. You know, when your time perception is completely gone and you are only experiencing the exact moment of consciousness that you're in right now, you start to value how impactful that is on your day-to-day life. You value comfort, you value quality of life, because those are the things that influence your moments of consciousness. Those are the moments of consciousness that you live in. If your moments are spent worrying about things, living in a place you don't want to be, having a bad quality of life, change it. You know, the small things. I made drawers for myself to store items. I cleaned my room. I made my whole room way nicer to be in. You know, a different couch setup. I have LEDs. Everything's clean. I value wearing clean clothes, having clean bed sheets, having a clean body. All those things influence your moment. So take care of them. They're really important. Have a good moment-to-moment life. Improve your quality of life. Enjoy your life. And you can make yourself enjoy your life by having all those things that I mentioned earlier. It does not have to be material success. You can improve your quality of life without spending $1 and just using some creativity and making things. Another thing that psychedelics have made me way better at is thinking of things from a different perspective outside my head. Because when you do them, you get detached from your head. You start thinking about things from a different perspective, and you can learn to take that out of the psychedelic experience and to apply it in your day-to-day life when you are sober. This is a very, very useful skill. It will prevent you from getting into so many arguments, so many fights. It will prevent you from making people feel upset and angry for no reason. If you just think about how they are feeling for a second. Try to imagine the situation from somebody else's perspective. Try to understand why they are saying what they're saying. Everyone around you is a person. They are conscious. They are making decisions inside their head that are leading them to make the choices that they are making. They're not just doing random actions for no reason. And if you can see the formula behind their decision making, if you can see how they've decided to do what they're doing, you will understand them a lot more. And with understanding Anger comes from not understanding. Frustration comes from not understanding. If you understand their reasoning, you will feel way, way less angry and frustrated at them. And it gives you a base from which you can then build that social interaction and try to achieve a better outcome for yourself, knowing what the other person is also trying to do. It's a win-win situation. Practice seeing things from somebody else's perspective. Don't get stuck inside your own head. It only hurts you. Having empathy ties into this as well. Somebody's actions may not seem correct from your perspective. That just means that you are not. That makes sense. They are not you. Why would their actions make sense to you from your perspective when they live in a different body? They have different physical characteristics that make them capable or not capable of different things. They have had a completely different life. Their experiences and thought processes may not be the same as you, but if you just understand that they are a person who's also trying to do things, you will have empathy. Empathy is a really valuable skill. See other people as human. See them as no different than yourself. Don't view yourself as better for no reason. Ego diminishes when you take psychedelics, which is very useful. So many people cannot handle losing, cannot handle their way not being the best. Psychedelics teaches you that we're all just people. We all just do what works for us. And if it works for you, it may not work for someone else. Or what you are doing and thinking works for you may not be the best way. Be open-minded. Learn to accept differences. If you sense how other people are feeling, if you know why they're feeling the way that they are through working out the formula by which they make their decisions, you can then make calculated actions based on their emotions. If you know how people are feeling, you can accurately judge how they will respond to certain situations. This will be very useful for not getting into fights, not getting into altercations, into not making people feel upset for no reason. If you sense that somebody's uncomfortable, don't pressure them. If you sense that somebody's frustrated, don't rage bait them. It's very simple, but it works so well. If you know how people think, if you can view the situation from their perspective, you can understand what's going to make them act certain ways. Act in accordance to those feelings. Don't make them feel things that will negatively impact you. Living a good life. How to live a good life using psychedelics. Use psychedelics as a learning experience. Use them to examine yourself and search for things within your soul and your mind that you would like to better. This requires not having as big of an ego, because this means that you are not perfect right now and that you can get better, and that some of your thoughts and internal processes may not be exactly right. You might have mental issues. You have to accept that. Only then psychedelics will show you a path forward. It's very good to trip if you have a question in your head that you feel like it's driving you insane. If you have thoughts that feel like they're driving you insane. Those thoughts, those questions, they are coming from a deeper place in your consciousness that you are either too scared or have too high of an ego to examine when you are sober, because you will just get the same predetermined response to not make yourself feel bad. Psychedelics will make you not feel bad from examining yourself. They will remove your ego so you can examine yourself. They will make you not scared because you don't feel fear the same way. You will feel freer, and you can examine your inner consciousness and see how you work while you have those thoughts. Address them. Don't run away from them. Dive into them. If you want to fix it, you can't run away. You have to face it head on, and you have to let the psychedelics guide you. It may not be pleasant. It may not be the answer that you're looking for, but you just have to accept it. They will show you a path forward, because it's not they, it's a deeper you. That is what you are experiencing. Make peace with that. Psychedelics are very good for deeper introspection because they remove the human feelings and emotions that make us tied to our own personal experience. They make us tied to seeing from our POV, thinking from our POV, thinking that what we are doing is correct and the way forward. They make you see things outside of your perspective, and you can examine yourself as if you were another person looking in, with no attachment to feeling good or keeping an ego or staying quote-unquote successful and correct. View with no judgment, accept with no judgment. Just listen. Let things happen, but don't just sit there. Psychedelics will guide you to a path in life. I strongly believe that, because they will open your mind and you will guide yourself to something that you really want to do. Find a passion in your life. Pursue that passion. If you have questions, you can take psychedelics and trip and answer those questions for yourself. You just have to listen and let things happen. Your consciousness, your mind, will gravitate towards things it wants to do. If you have straight morals and you have a good direction in your life, you will gravitate in that direction. Or if it's a bad one, you'll still gravitate in it. It's important to set yourself a good direction in life, which you can do. Let things happen. Let yourself be pulled in that direction. But don't just aimlessly sit there and let time pass by thinking that things will happen. You have to move. You have to swim around. Only then will you be pulled, if that makes sense. Be nice to people. This is just a separate thing. Be nice to people. If you're nice to people, they will be nice to you back. The world will be nice to you. You will get back what you put into the world. Thank you for watching.